My third annual iPad mini setup falls right in line with the release of iPad OS 18. Since my last setup video, I found some new apps and even adding something physically to my iPad to change the experience for the better. So today I wanted to go through my entire iPad mini OS 18 setup, as well as show you some of the ways I've been utilizing it as of late. To be honest, I'm definitely not taking advantage of all the new things the new update has to offer, and even dislike some things about it. Specifically the Photos app I just hate now, but I'll get into that later in the video. And apologies if you hear some loud gusts of wind. There's currently a hurricane hitting us right now. But first, if you're new here, thank you for stopping by. Here we talk about minimalism, frugal living, tech, and things of that nature. So if that sounds good to you and you end up liking the video, be sure to like and please lobotomize the subscribe button. Let's get started. Even before getting into the accessories or the actual setup of the iPad itself, I think what is relevant and quickly worth mentioning is to show how I pack my iPad when I bring it with me on the go. My iPad is brought with me every single day I go to work, so it's just slipped into the laptop sleeve here in my backpack. Or if I'm going on a short trip or have a shorter day at work, it fits perfectly into my sling bag. And naturally, before going into the contents of the iPad itself, I wanted to mention the accessories I have with or attached to it, of which there is only one change. I'm still using the Smart Folio stand I've had since day one with Apple Pencil 2 that magnetically attaches to the top, and Bellroy's Tokyo Folio case. Maybe if I get enough comments mentioning it, Bellroy will finally let me design a product at this point. The only thing I keep in here consistently is a journal with a pen or a pencil. Now, something that has changed here is that I now use the Paperlike screen protector. I got it a few months ago and I actually ended up loving it so much that I reached out to them to sponsor this video. I've never been a fan of screen protectors on any of my devices, but I knew the Paperlike was pretty well received, and since I draw and write on here a lot, I gave it a try and will probably now never go back. It basically gives the iPad surface a paper-like texture for when I'm drawing and writing, and the matte finish is really nice, especially at reducing glare. The Paperlike gives me more of that analog feel when I'm drawing on here, making it feel like I'm actually drawing on a piece of paper. Not to mention, the sound is very satisfying. It's something that's kind of hard to explain until you try it yourself, but on here is that smooth friction you feel when you're gliding across a piece of paper. And for me at least, it's at that point where this is pretty much a necessity now for my iPad. I'll have a link in the description box if you're interested in checking out the Paperlike. Thanks again to Paperlike for sponsoring this video. Now going to the home screen. My home screen is relatively similar to how I've had it for the past year. I actually think I kept more widgets on the home screen before, and that's because I only find a couple of them useful, if at all. Because to me, they're basically as useful as just having the app on my home screen itself. Having said that, there are a couple that have nice information to display on the home screen, such as the weather for the week, the calendar, and this new clock, which I believe was part of the update, but I could be wrong. My wallpaper is my plant wallpaper that's available for download on my store in the description box if you're interested, along with some other new ones. This was made so that it doesn't look too out of place whether the iPad is turned vertically or horizontally. And at the bottom bar, I just keep Safari, my email app, and the rest are just piled into one single library. Now for the apps. I was going to categorize my apps before going into them, but they're just way too all over the place. So I decided to just list them instead. I'm going to leave out the built-in OS apps for this. So right now I have Among Us, which is probably the most fun game to play with a group of people. The Calculator app, which I know I said I wouldn't mention built-in apps, but this app is new as of the most recent update, and I did delete the Solves app to make room for this. Chase for all of my banking, ChatGPT, Discord for chatting with my friends, Doodle for light sketching, Fidelity for investing, Forest for the times where I need to lock in and focus, Faster Than Light, which is probably the best single-player game on iPad, Kindle for reading, Pinterest because I really enjoy Pinterest and get a lot of good Animal Crossing build ideas here, Procreate for literally all of my drawing, including those wallpapers and my animations, Procreate Dreams for more sophisticated animations, And if I ever get around to making a cartoon one day, I'll probably use Procreate Dreams. This app is called Prompt Smart Pro, which is just a teleprompter that I sometimes use for recording videos. Reddit for the occasional brain rot, short form for my nonfiction reading, Spotify for music, and Vanguard for my retirement investment account. And of course, YouTube and YouTube Studio. I think that's about as much detail as I want to go into with all these apps because most of you are probably familiar with most of them anyways, and that should just be its own video one day. Now for my use cases. Anyone who's even slightly familiar with my videos is probably aware for the most part how I like to use my iPad mini. Even so, I did want to go over some of those in the video as well because I only recently discovered something I can do with my iPad that I've been taking advantage of, and that's using my monitor. And of course it works best with drawing. Hands down, my favorite thing to do with my iPad is draw on here, and only a few weeks ago, I found a cool feature to take advantage of when I am drawing. I went to plug in my iPad to my monitor just to charge it, and then it suddenly started mirroring what was on my iPad. So occasionally now when I'm drawing, I'll have it plugged into my monitor for a bit of a better view. I've always said if you like drawing or are an artist in any capacity, this is just a really nice setup to have. Drawing on Procreate with the iPad mini, occasionally with music on, is absolutely the most leisurely way for me to enjoy this rectangle. Now for writing. Still sticking with the Notes app primarily, writing is something I spend a significant amount of time doing on my iPad mini. Although I use talk-to-text almost exclusively, after finding out my monitor could be used with my iPad, I had to try using a mouse and keyboard as well. And it turns out it makes the iPad mini literally a desktop setup, albeit overkill. And by the way, like I said in my last video, I have several new wallpapers for sale on my site, so the link for that is in the description box if you're interested. Anyways, that was a bit of a dive into my current iPad mini setup. I hope you got some value or ideas from this video. I have a strong suspicion by the time this is uploaded, there's going to be a new iPad mini released. Actually, I would bet a lot of money that's the case. I'm sure I'm missing a lot of useful features with the new update, so feel free to share those in the comments below. As always, I appreciate the time you spent here and I appreciate you watching. If you did like this video and you like this type of content, be sure to like and consider subscribing to my channel, and I'll see you next time.